Hello, everybody. How's it going? So first, I want to thank you guys so much. I think you can probably see it in the title, but 1,000,000 views. It's hard to believe that you guys have watched these videos enough. I'm going to take these little sunglasses off, but it's like, you know, you get 1,000,000 views, you're a millionaire. You can have sunglasses, I guess. But I wanted to thank you guys so much for just helping me get there, for just I mean, that's a lot of views, and that's you guys watching these things. So right now it looks like there are 2 of you guys watching. Maybe there's more than 2, but it looks like 2. And you know, like it's just awesome that all those views can equal 1,000,000. That, you know, hopefully I've helped people answer some questions on those views, and hope people have learned some stuff. But thank you so much for watching. So today we're mainly going to just kind of have fun, play some different things. I'm going to answer some questions of yours and just play kind of some jams and stuff on here. But I wanted to just really thank all of you guys from the bottom of my heart. So if there's anything you'd like to hear, I'll try to do certain requests. You know, if I can do them, then I'll do them. If I can't, I may attempt them anyway. We'll see. But just let me know. And I'm just going to jam a little bit until some more people are watching. So thanks again for watching. Let's see if I can do it on a different key. All right. So how's everybody doing tonight? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. If anything needs to turn up or turn down, just let me know. I'm going to grab the sustain pedal from the keyboard and plug it into this loop pedal so that I can stop things with a single click instead of a double click. But say hello. I want to know who's watching. So yeah, I'm actually using literally a piano sustain pedal, just like a keyboard sustain pedal with the loop pedal. If you've watched any of the streams before, you know that I do that sometimes because there's this nice little plug in here that I can do that so that way I have the ability to stop it with one click instead of two. All right. So if you want to, you could also put a genre in the side, and I can try to create a jam based around a style of music. But first, let me know that you can hear me, because I still have no clue if it's getting through to you guys or not. Thank you. All right. Hey, Robert, how's it going? Can you hear me all right? So, thanks, guys. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for hanging out here. So the whole channel, between all the videos that I have on there, have gotten viewed 1 million times at this point. And I've had the channel, before I did U-bass stuff, I just did bass guitar stuff. And basically I've had the channel since 2010. So yeah, from 2010 until now, I've gotten over 1 million views on the channel as of the 2nd of this month. So 2 days ago. So I just want to thank all of you guys for that. And yeah, so because it's only possible with you guys, I wanted to get your input of what you guys wanted to hear tonight. And I want to thank you guys for hanging out. So thanks, Robert and Mark and whoever else is watching. So just let me know if you got questions that you want answered, or if you got maybe like a genre for me to do another loop pedal jam with. Because this is kind of cool, but I'm kind of doing the same kind of thing a little bit. Thank y'all so much, though. Had the polarity switched. Cool. So that's fun, just doing some loop pedal stuff there. So Robert, you like the country walk-in videos? Very cool. So something for blues along the same line. I have some things that are kind of similar. So basically, first, there's really a lot of 12-bar videos that I have. If you go to the beginner playlist, there's actually the one that's kind of a country 12-bar. There's one or two videos about blues walk-ins as well. So they're actually on a similar line. But if you're having trouble finding them, let me know, and maybe I can get the links and send them to you to make it a little bit easier to find. If you want to just remind me after the live stream or something, I might be able to find that pretty easily. But there's on my beginner playlist, there's several blues videos, just like introduction to the 12-bar blues. Then there's like the country kind of 12-bar, which is more like Johnny Cash kind of stuff. And so it's got a little bit of walk-ins in there. And then there are some other blues ones on there. I probably just need to make a blues U-based playlist and just throw all of those on there too. In fact, I'm going to make a note of that because that's actually a great idea. And then that way, someone looking for all that stuff in one can kind of find it. And if somebody asks me about it, I can just shoot them over to the playlist. So that's a good call. Blues playlist. But like a general idea with the blues is understanding a 12-bar. Okay, so Mark, what mode was I doing there? I was actually doing something called mode mixture. So at first I was kind of doing C mixolydian, but then I was going to an A flat chord, which would make which is borrowing from C minor. So I was doing C major. Then I was going to an A flat chord. Then I was going to a G major chord. So basically, it's almost like I went from C major to C harmonic minor, if that makes sense. So C harmonic minor it's a C minor scale with a raised seventh. So that'd be, here's an example of it. 3rd fret on the A string, 5th fret, 6th. Same thing on the D string, 3rd fret, 5th fret, 6th fret, and then the 4th fret on the G string and the 5th fret. So when I went to the harmonic minor, I was doing that, and then before that part, I was playing, mixolydian though. So that would be 3rd fret on the A string, 5th fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the D string, 3rd, 5th fret also on the D string. Then on the G string, I do the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 5th, and that's C mixolydian. So I'd kind of start like that. Whoops. Right? And then I would go down to that A flat chord. And then a G major chord. And maybe even a G7 if I wanted to. Since I didn't play the chord, I could have been implying either one of them. So hopefully that helps a little bit with that. Hey, Navix. Thanks for sticking around as long as you can. I hope you right, you're not currently home. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much anyway for stopping by, using that precious data to stop in and say, hey, I appreciate that. Cool. So yeah, so I've done kind of grooves like that. I'm trying to think of something else I could do, but mainly that was why I did that one that was doing the mode mixture, was just because I always play in like one key when I do these little short loops, because they're just too short to really do a whole bunch. So I was just trying to think about chord progressions that do more interesting stuff. So hopefully that helps a little bit. But yeah, mode mixture is kind of fun. So usually what I do is I'll be playing a major scale and I'll throw in something like either the minor 4 chord, so the 4 chord from the minor scale, the flat 6 from the minor scale, you know, how it would have a chord built off the flat 6, or the flat 7. Those are really common ones to borrow. And then that's that kind of thing. And Seth says, hello, has it been that many views? Wow. Yep, it has. So thanks for stopping in, Seth. I saw your comment on the other one earlier. I'm going to address that. You said that the playing was a little bit out of sync, and then you went back and said, well, maybe it's not. It might be, and I'll tell you why. Basically, on recording that one, and yes, if you watch the live streams, you get a little behind the scenes of me admitting to stuff like messing up. But basically, what happened was I recorded the ukulele and the singing part first to the so basically when I make the tabs, I do them on Guitar Pro, and so I exported a Guitar Pro file, a Guitar Pro file, not the word profile, sorry, and basically it had the metronome going and it had the bass line on it, and then it had the form of the song, you know, since the bass line was playing along in there. And so basically what I did was I played along to that and sang, which is why I had the headphones in the ukulele video. And then with the bass, I can plug direct in, so I can listen through the speakers instead of having to wear headphones, which is why I wasn't wearing them there. But the reason it may not have lined up perfectly is because I was playing to the same track, right? But for the bass part, I had it tabbed out. For the ukulele and the singing part, it wasn't that many chords, and I was looking at the lyrics for the words, but I didn't really need the chords. So because of that, I exported an audio file to play along with that had the metronome going and had the MIDI version of the bass line playing along, and then I recorded the bass the similar way but separately, so that I could have the Guitar Pro playing the tabs, so that I could watch along while it was playing, and recorded the bass that way. So I recorded the ukulele part and the bass part separate of each other, rather than like playing it along to what I did for the ukulele. So it's possible that what happened was the ukulele part was a little out of time, meaning I was ahead of the beat or behind the beat. And normally, if I was playing along to that track, I'd be locking into that, so the bass line would just match it, just being a little ahead of the beat or a little behind the beat. But because I was playing to the actual metronome, focusing on singing kind of took me out of time a little bit. And then I'm going to be honest, sometimes I do this. Sometimes when a note is buzzy, or if something happens, I'll go in on the audio, and not the video, but I'll go in on the audio and edit out that note and replace it with one that doesn't have a buzz. So like if I were to randomly out of 3 minutes kind of have a buzzy note like that, I might replace it with another one where it was actually hit. So the main reason for that is a lot of these Patreon requests, it's terrible. I do them the day of. But, having to learn an entire song, be able to record it, then edit the video, then upload the video, make a thumbnail, do all that stuff. For whatever reason, lately I've been doing that all on Tuesday. So that's why this one got released at 4 a.m. Eastern time, because it took longer than I thought it would. There were some technical difficulties. And so occasionally with like little notes being a little bit out of time, I just kind of let them slide on this one. So Seth, you're actually correct about that, and that's the dirty little secret of sometimes I go back in and remove buzzed notes, just really bad ones. I leave most of them in, but if there's one that was like or something, then I'll edit that out and put one in. But yeah, so just thought I would say that, because I know you made a comment about it being a little bit out of sync. It might have been. Cool. I'd have to go back and listen to it again, but it's very, very possible. Okay. So that being said, does anybody have a genre or anything? Well, yeah, everybody on this live stream is now privy to that. I hope I didn't lose too much respect for the fact that sometimes I go back in and do that. But, buzzy notes happen, and I feel like it's different. And that's why I like doing the live stream, is because obviously I can't do that on the live stream. So you get to hear like the real thing. If I make a mistake, I just have to go and redo it. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, I'm giving you guys the inside information since you helped me get to 1 million views. Thank you guys. So let's make a loop. What's a genre that you want? Try to do one that's a little left field. Like we've done reggae, we've done pop, we've done blues, we've done even classical last time. Is there a genre that we haven't done that you think you can throw in that's not like so obscure that I wouldn't have heard anything of the genre to be able to imitate? Trying to think. Metal. Okay. I think we did one a long time ago, but it has been a while. So that's a good one. I wish I had another cable to plug in the distortion. But does this amp have distortion? Let's see. Tone print. No. Tube drive. Turn down the overall volume. That's a little bit of drive there. Okay. I'm trying to think of what would be a good kind of metal thing. Okay. Yeah, so I have just a light distortion on there, and I'm glad that distortion sounds good because it's not just overdriving the mic. It's it's actually the amp having a little drive to it, and that's a TC Electronic amp that just had a couple of built-in things like that. Okay. Let's try something. Okay, I'll try something like that. It's a little loose. Maybe if I had a pick or something, I'd get a different tone. I'll use my fingers a pick. I think that's like a fade out worthy. All right, I tried with the metal. Maybe that was too much distortion for both parts. It might have sounded better to have the low end clean and then have distortion with the guitar part being looped on top, like the guitar part. Yeah. So y'all may not know this, but I was a big Metallica fan growing up. So I can kind of like imitate, some like metal stuff just based off of listening to them a whole bunch, listening to Iron Maiden, of course, just a whole bunch of other stuff like that. But yeah, Cliff Burton was probably my first big bass influence. So when I started playing, I think I played like a talent show with some friends and played a simple version of the 311 song Flowing. And then I started hanging out with some metalheads after that and listened to a whole bunch of Metallica. And it was something like when I was between 5th and 6th grade, I took a few lessons and, bought a bass book with all the Metallica parts. And so it's kind of cool because, I gotta turn off the distortion for this. Tube drive down, master volume up. It's probably good. Okay, so I learned Orion, and that was like my favorite one. Then I need a Rickenbacker. Then, yeah, Rickenbacker. I didn't have a Rickenbacker. I had one that the first bass that I bought, it broke. I actually still have the body, but it's kind of like I have a part of my house. It's like the graveyard of musical instruments that aren't playable anymore. And so I still have the body. That basically the bass fell and the headstock broke, and I never put a new neck on it or anything, and never got it fixed because that's just a pretty bad amount of damage. But it looked kind of like his Aria Pro 2 bass, and that was why I got it. So yeah, so there was my first bass kind of looked like one of his, but not the Rickenbacker. But he had a song called Orion, and that was one of the first ones that I really liked that got me to kind of be really excited about the bass rather than just playing just bass parts, because just normal bass parts and songs, it stood out, it was a cool thing. So he had like a little bass solo section in there, and actually there's some other stuff that would use distortion and a lot more frets that he also does later in the song, but there's a bass breakdown that I can play on here. I'm shortening it, by the way. Then he goes into that other part underneath the solo. So there's a guitar solo there. And this next part was actually bass, but I can't do it on here, but there's a video somewhere on my channel a while ago where I played it on a full scale because I had enough frets to do it. And you need like 24 frets for that one. And there's 2 parts that are harmonized bass on there. And it happens right at that point in the song after the guitar solo, after that whole bass breakdown thing. And it's really cool. And you might mistake it for guitar because it just sounded so much like guitar that for even the book that I got didn't have that part written in as bass. I think they thought it was guitar as well. And, there's another part in the song where it's like, but I like it better after that part, which once again, I thought that was guitar, the way he had it recorded with the distortion and everything. But then he goes down the octave and does the. And so that part of the song I attribute to why I can play as fast as I can was because when I was, the summer after 5th grade going into 6th grade, I worked really hard on trying to play that song all the way through. And so any of you younger players that happen to be on here, I would say develop your speed while you're young, but do it where you gradually work up to it so that you're playing everything accurately, because it's a lot easier to build up speed at an early age rather than going forward. But you can still learn it and you can still work up to it. It's just, it takes more work, I think, more dedication when you're older. I noticed my bass has been out of tune, so I'm going to tune that really quick. And it's several years old, the video that I played the distorted part. I only played one of them. I didn't play both of the harmonized. I just played one of them along with the recording. But if you're just curious about how it sounds, you could check out. There's people have isolated the bass for the original recording, and so that's pretty cool that you can kind of just go and check Orion isolated bass and hear what Cliff actually played, and they even have that part singled out, and it's way later in the song, like 3/4 the way through, that the distorted one happens. But it was really impressive, and I had no clue that it was bass originally when I heard it. I like the other stuff that he did so much, I didn't even need to know how amazing what he played on that one was. And it's quick, too. All right, so Peyton says, hey, Steven, I was wondering if you had any storage tips. The neck on my U-bass cracked this week from temperature humidity change. Ooh. I guess the best thing would just be keep everything at about the tempo that you can. Temperature, I said tempo because musicians, but keep things at about a quote unquote room temperature kind of thing. I'm going to be honest, lately I've let the basses kind of get too cold and get too hot and get too cold and get too hot, and I haven't had that issue. So it must be the humidity change a lot. But when I went on that tour, this upright bass behind me, basically I was touring with a group that played a lot of 1940s music, and we'd play at theaters, and there was, a stage show. It was kind of fun. And the upright bass, by the end of the tour, the back started coming apart from the sides because of the same kind of thing. Because it's like we did a trip from Florida. We were in Tampa, and then we drove straight from Tampa all the way up to Michigan. And so we went from 80-degree weather to below freezing weather. And yeah, it was just awful on there. But I'm glad that the store's replacing it. That's really good. Yeah, I've never had that happen. Was it a Kala or was it a different brand? Because it may have just been the kind of wood they used, unless it was a Kala. But that does sound random that it was that was that bad. Okay, I've still never heard of that happening with the Hadean, and I think that's how you pronounce it. I've heard some people say Hadean. I've heard other people say Hadean, and the argument behind it being Hadean is stronger. So I'm just going with that for now until somebody corrects me and says, no, the owner says it's Hadean or something. But yeah, I had one of those, and I didn't have that many issues with it at all. It was pretty good. So I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm glad they're fixing it. I think that's why they're fixing it, is because they probably thought it was weird too. Like, that doesn't happen very often. If I've never heard of it happening to anyone else, really. Cool. Was it Wimpy Theory? Which I guess the tips earlier for playing fast. Yeah. So I think if you go through a metal phase, you'll develop a lot of quick right hand technique stuff. There's another Metallica song that's a really good warm up, and it's not really the way that it's played on bass, but if you play the guitar part on bass for Master of Puppets, there's one part that's like, and I think the bass part's more like, I think it's more like. So he does more open strings rather than doing open one all the time before it. But if you do open one, it's a really good finger warm up because you're using your pointer, your middle, your ring, and your pinky, along with some open strings. and getting some sort of finger pattern with the right hand that's fast enough to play it is kind of tricky. So Robert, I would guess that the neck is more likely to warp, like it might bend this way or that way a little bit, but not so much that it would crack usually. And I'd imagine the body would come apart more. So maybe not crack as much, but like come apart. So upright bass players sometimes have more of an issue with this than even I did. For me, I got lucky with my upright bass that it was just coming apart at the back, but mine's a plywood bass. There are some solid basses where it's just solid, pieces of wood put together. And so some of them have multiple pieces put together since that's just such a large area to cover. But sometimes those will have cracks on the actual surface of it because the weather just beats them up more. And so same thing I would imagine with the with ukuleles and basses that have a solid piece of wood rather than some sort of composite, that they might be more likely to crack if the weather changed drastically. But I'm not positive on that. I just know that that's kind of been the case with the upright and talking to other upright players. But the neck is more likely to warp a little bit, but not so bad that it would crack. That's kind of, yeah, that's a big problem. So I would say keep it at fairly regular temperatures. You don't want to go really above 75 or something, and you don't really want to go below 60 or something. Just keep it in a normal range. My whole thing is there are certain houses in my room, or certain rooms in my house, there we go, that are warmer than others, or that I keep at a better temperature. And sometimes it's just better to store them in the rooms that get kept at the same temperature. But that's a great question. All right, so we did a metal jam. What's next? Does anyone have another idea for a jam that we could do? All right, so Robert wants some swing. I'm trying to think of how I could imitate like a bigger band than just a small thing. How do I do? Let's see. I can do something like that. Let's try that. Oh. Man, today is just like get it right the second or third time. Some old ragtime music. I don't even know how I would do that on here. I'm not sure on that. Okay, so let's see. We'll see what happens there. I totally forgot what key I did it. Okay, I did it in G. Trying to throw in this Charlie Parker lick. It is too hard to do this fast. It's like, it's really fast. Got it. All right, let's see what we got there. So Robert asked, first Otto asked, was that the entertainer? A minute ago it was, yeah, when I was doing the... Yeah, that was the entertainer. Good call. And then Robert asks, do you oil the Journeyman fretboard? The answer for me is no. I'm sure it's a good thing to do. I have to admit that I have not done that at this point, and I've had it for quite a while. It might be a good thing to do, though. Okay, so Otto again says, saw the coolest double neck ukulele. Oh, that's cool. A bass double neck. Very cool. Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, that'd be perfect for the kind of jams I do on here. That'd be absolutely amazing. I wonder if I get someone to custom make me one. That'd be really cool. All right. Hi, what are you playing through? If it's an amp, what would you recommend? So honestly, I don't know that I'd recommend the one that I'm playing through because it's a pretty large amp. It depends on if you're trying to play gigs. Let me move out of the way so you can see it. If you're trying to play gigs with bands, you might want something that size. But honestly, you don't need anything that big to jam with people. So that one's a TC Electronic amp. But I usually use a Fender Rumble 200 for gigs. And I've used that with the U-Bass, but I use it most of the time with electric bass, and it's a pretty good amp. So I'm sure the smaller Rumbles would be better for like, just smaller practice things. But I'm a big fan of the Fender stuff. I know some of the other bass players everybody's got their own thing. I've played through a couple of these Ampeg combo amps that are pretty cool. I'm trying to think what other U-Bass players liked on U-Bass Freaks. If I were you, I would go to Facebook and join the U-Bass Freaks page. because they have a lot of people talking about what they use, and people post their gear all the time, and you can ask them questions directly that have more experience with, like, I want to say P&J or something, or PJ, something like that is a real common one. But yeah, I don't give the amp too much thought. I just try to get one that's pretty decent. So I like the Fenders, the Rumble series. So you could get a smaller Rumble or a bigger one, depending on what your needs are. But they're pretty good across the board, and not too expensive either. And they're lightweight, which I think everybody's probably doing that lightweight speaker thing now. But a lot of them are lightweight, so it's pretty cool too. Awesome. So yes, so now what? We've done kind of swing, sort of almost bebop tune, really, more than swing. I guess swing would be slower. Oh well, I tried. Sorry, Robert. But yeah, you can do that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think of something that's more swing. But if you guys have another thing you'd like to hear, let me know. And if you have more questions, let me know. And thanks, Rod, for a good question. That was a good question. So I'm gonna try to do one that I don't use the loop pedal for. This is an original I actually wrote on Ubase. It's kind of similar to the one I wrote on Upright, but it's a little bit different. It just starts with the same chord. I'm trying to make up parts now. Yeah, so that was kind of cool. I had some fun trying to do some different things. Just to give you an idea of what I was doing there, that just kind of occurred to me is I know where a G is on here, I know where a C is, and I know where a D is. And so then I also know the G major scale on the open G string. So I was trying to do was kind of hover around this chord and then do pull-offs with my other fingers on the G string doing the G major scale. And then that time I did just mode mixture just for no reason. I didn't do that in the song, but you get the idea. Yeah. So Seth, good ear on that one. Yeah, that one's my song, Going Camping. I think I bought a tent and decided to go camping, and so I recorded a little ditty, kind of just came up with something. But that was the first one that I wrote that was on Ubase. So first original song that I wrote specifically for Ubase. So that's kind of fun. And it's still not really completed. So I leave a lot of like open space to kind of improvise. There was like a B section that I just kind of played wrong this time, but it's kind of fun. I was doing the same kind of thing where I was doing mostly the G major scale, but centered around D, and not worrying so much about pull-offs, but just sliding into notes and stuff in the scale. And then I'd go back to G, the G chord, so low G down here, 3rd fret on the E string. And then I have my melody is all G major pentatonic stuff. So if you know it in the open position, you have a G as the 3rd fret on the E string, then the open A string, 2nd fret on the A string, open D string, 2nd fret on the D string, and then open G string, and then I add a little bit of the 2nd octave. All right, well, Wimpy Theory, thanks for hanging out. And then I use these 2 notes a lot too, so that's just going up the G major scale on this string. So it's not too bad, really. You're doing a 10th right here where you're playing the 3rd fret on the E string at the same time as the 4th fret on the G. And then I'm kind of adding some like slaps where basically I'm just putting my hand down with enough force to cause the strings to bounce off the frets. And then I'm just basically doing hammer-ons and pull-offs on the 2nd fret to the open string D string. And then I'm hitting an open G string in the middle of that. So open hammer-on, open G, 2nd fret on the D string, pull-off, open D. So that's one thing that I do a lot in that song. And then, of course, if the note ends up on a slap, then what I do is, if I'm playing, I can fret the note down here, but I just kind of slap through the note. So I kind of talked about that on unorthodox right hand techniques. That's one of the ones I used in this one. And I don't know what compelled me to go there, but basically I did a C chord, and then I went a whole step down to a B flat. So it's like, I guess I'm just kind of doing mode mixture again, where I'm borrowing from the G minor scale. That's a chord that would exist in the G minor scale, and then bringing that back in there. Yeah, so I'm still just playing bits and pieces of it. But that one's called Going Camping, and the whole song's on the other part. But that's kind of a little tutorial about it if you want to, go back through and figure that out. But it's mostly and basically, I tried to say both at the same time. Just G pentatonic with all that, and then slapping on beats 2 and 4. And I always haven't figured out a real good, consistent way to do that yet. So I guess the slap would really be there. So I guess I'll try doing that. So that's kind of funny. I haven't really realized where the best place to do the slap was. That one's kind of weird because I think I'm not really hitting a note there, but I want the notes to ring out. So I'm slapping just the E string there and doing it twice before going back to the other part. And sometimes instead of doing a high G, I replace that note in the melody with the low G. So there's kind of a breakdown of going camping. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. And then just messing around with other stuff. So does anybody have a different thing? We could do another loop pedal jam, or I could play one of the other originals. There might be some that I could do with the loop pedal or without the loop pedal too. But if you have a request or something or a genre, I like doing that where it's just kind of like you guys just basically give me a genre, give me a key, and then see if I can do something with that. So anybody, don't all speak at once. Anyone got another genre? It can be one we've done before. It doesn't have to be like something brand new at this point. I know it was kind of tricky to come up with some stuff. All right. You can tell that I like writing in the same kind of styles sometimes. So Green Tea that I wrote on the upright, it's very similar. Oh, that's cool. Progressive rock. But this uses the whole G major scale and it utilizes more of the neck. And I have a G chord down here, a C chord, and then for the D chord, I do the open D string, and then usually the 11th fret on the G string to kind of imitate those. I do notice you have that song listed separately on Spotify than your album on a different profile. On Spotify, I think the only one that's listed separately. Well, there are two ones that are listed separately. So there's one I made for this channel because I was doing a sponsored video for DistroKid. And so, I needed to have something uploaded through them. And so I created a different account to do that. So I have like a Stephen Cox account, and then I have a Stephen Cox bass account. And I did Sweet Dreaming on the separate one. And then my album is on the Stephen Cox page. So you may have discovered that that's what happened there. I decided to affiliate one more with the Stephen Cox bass name that I use for the YouTube channel, and then do the other one separately. I'm thinking about putting out more stuff on the Stephen Cox bass Spotify. So yeah, good call, Seth. I'm trying to think of how to do Robert. I'm trying to think about how to do a progressive rock loop, because it seems like progressive rock has a lot of like changes and stuff, like time signature stuff and everything. So that's kind of tricky to think about how I could do that. I'm not sure. That doesn't really sound like progressive rock. I messed it up. I had played it twice. I hit the loop pedal. I messed it up. So dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it's in 7. Okay. So that's technically in 15. I'm going to figure out the part before I record it.
That was cooler than I thought it was going to be. Okay. I think that checks the boxes for progressive rock, maybe. Hopefully so. So the first measure was in 7/8, and the second measure was in just normal 4/4. But I was thinking of it like 8. 8 plus 7 is 15. So you could call it the whole thing 15. But then when I was trying to do some of the loops, I occasionally forgot it. So generally speaking, I was lucky enough to not record them out of time while I had the loop pedal down. But yeah, so that worked out. I'm glad it worked out. And he said, I hope your looper can make very long loops. Yeah, it can make pretty long loops. I don't know the extent of it. We could see it's probably something like 3 minutes or something. I think it can do a really long loop, but I'm not sure. Maybe it only has a minute of space on there. I'm not completely sure. We could test it, I guess. It'd be a really boring test though for a live stream. Loop and disco style. Yeah, so I haven't done one of those today. Let's see. Maybe that kind of thing. Okay. This tone is rough.
That was kind of fun. Cool. Yeah, when I think disco, I think of octaves, and sometimes I think about doubling certain notes in the octaves, like. I was also kind of thinking of the Rolling Stones' "Miss You." That's kind of a disco-y kind of song, so sort of kind of pulling from that a little bit, although it's not the same thing at all. It's just kind of like that. But yeah, those were octaves. Yeah, I didn't do much fifths. I mostly skipped up the octave. Yeah, so jazz is kind of weird because I don't think jazz just encompasses one style. So when you said swing earlier, some jazz songs fall under the swing bracket. Some are more bebop, which is kind of like a really fast swing. Then there's jazz fusion, which is closer related to progressive rock. So jazz fusion and progressive rock, what makes them different? Probably the types of tonalities they like to use over the songs. And I don't know, the effects are kind of similar. They're similar in a lot of ways, but I think progressive rock encompasses a lot of things that are sort of outside of the jazz realm, you know, more straight rhythms rather than swinging rhythms. But I mean, honestly, with fusion, you don't get a lot of swung stuff. Maybe less like specific influences like Latin sounding or Afro-Cuban sounding stuff might be more apparent in the jazz fusion stuff, whereas progressive rock might have a little bit of that, but mostly they might have just a lot of fast runs together, and then usually the bass is way more aggressive in progressive rock. But I don't think that those are really like defining things. I think that you can blur the lines a lot. Keyboard's important in most of them, but I feel like the way it's approached, I'm also going to say this, jazz has more of an improvisational element, even with jazz fusion, and progressive rock is like an orchestration. So it's played pretty much like the same every time, and or very similar. Whereas the jazz fusion, people's solos, you know, they'll play different solos that aren't composed solos. Whereas a lot of progressive rock will do more written stuff. But yeah, I mean, I consider, like, you know, my song Transitions is in 7/8. Right? Right? And that part's orchestrated, and then there's another part that's like, let's see. Yeah. You know, so you get the idea, like those parts orchestrated, but then everything else is like soloing over one of the sections, and like the piano player would make up his own solo, and then like I would make up my own solo in the middle, and the saxophone player would also make up their own solo. So I think that's one big difference, and every time that you hear it, it's a different solo, you know? So that's a big difference between jazz and progressive rock. So that one's my song Transitions. So I have a CD, it's on Spotify and stuff like that. If you type in Stephen Cox Transitions, you can find that. I have a version of it that I did for Ubase, and I think I called it like 7/8 Jazz instead of using the name Transitions. So if you type in like Ubase 7/8, you'll probably find it. And that'll be like a lesson video that has or at least it'll have the tabs on the screen. I don't remember if I talked in the video at all, or if I just had a play along kind of thing. But I did that. And then there was another live stream at some point where I kind of explained it a little bit. But yeah, that's my song Transitions. Cool. When is my next album coming out? That is probably problem is I didn't stick to I don't stick enough to like one genre, and I'm trying to find a batch of songs that kind of go together. I've kind of been putting that off and working more on the YouTube stuff and working more on I teach lessons too, so I've been focusing really on the students and the YouTube channel growing. Now I got to 1 million views. That's pretty cool. So at some point maybe I can put a little bit more time into kind of recording stuff, but I don't really have a new batch of songs. Like I have, things like Going Camping. That one hasn't been released on a CD yet. The Sweet Dreaming song. And then if you go to Rock Class 101, I have a lot of songs I wrote on ukulele over there. Oh, thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it. Well, okay, you inspired me to get my U-Bass out 10 months ago, and I've loved it ever since. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Okay, you said you can do cover tunes. So basically, when I play cover tunes, I like to do it sometimes on the live streams, and sometimes I'll do cover tunes on there. I'm always a little bit worried about copyright stuff, but usually copyright strikes only happen if you use the recording and play along to it. So sometimes when you guys request bass lines and stuff, I'll put the headphones on and listen to the song so that all you're hearing is my bass line, so that it doesn't trigger YouTube for doing the copyright strike stuff. But sometimes even when you do covers, they do revenue splitting. So anybody that's a YouTuber, I don't know if this is really relevant to all you bass players, but they basically give the bigger part of the advertising fee to the publishers of the song, and then you get a little bit left over. So when you see cover songs on the channel, that's usually what's happening. Is I play a cover, and then and then they do the revenue splitting thing, and YouTube just takes care of that. So I can play cover songs. Sometimes I choose not to for that reason, though. I know it's not all about the money. There's not a lot of money in there anyway, but but yeah, revenue splitting, they take the lion's share of it. It's not like a 50-50 split. Okay. So how about some of the 40s set you did on the road? Man, see, I played the bass parts, so I don't know all the melodies to all that stuff. I should know some of them, like Sunny Side of the Street, and the one that the band was called In the Mood, so obviously it was named after that song, and you'd think I would know that one. Yeah, so occasionally I do jazz standards and stuff. I try not to do too many, but like occasionally I'll play like a piece from it. Let's see. I was gonna try to do the thing, but I usually do it up here. Let's see. Yeah, I was gonna try to loop that, but that's a long one to loop. But yeah, occasionally I'll do something like Donna Lee, or gosh, what are some other jazz standards that I do sometimes? Usually if it's like far into a live stream, it's like they won't worry about it then. But yeah, sometimes I do some jazz standards and stuff. Yep. Maybe U-bass renditions. It's kind of, so with the loop pedal, it's like the one frustration I have is there's not like a mute pedal. I need to get like an expression pedal, because then I could plug into that and then plug into here and then mute it really easily. But this loop pedal doesn't really give you the option to mute something. So I would need something. I mean, honestly, even if I had a tuner pedal, I should probably just buy a tuner pedal and plug it in first, turn the tuner on, switch the cord out, and then do that. Do you ever write or play punk stuff? Steven with attitude. I mean, when I get on the electric bass, I do a lot of slap stuff that I think has a lot more attitude. But I can do stuff like that. But I think sometimes it's too loud for the microphone. You can let me know if it is or isn't. But yeah, I mean, you know, a long time ago, maybe in like ninth grade, I probably played some punk and maybe even wrote some silly songs that can't remember. But yeah, it's fun. Yeah, so if you're familiar with that, that's that 1-4-5 progression. Punk uses it a lot. They also like the 1-5-6-4. Sounds like Blink-182 if I do that, doesn't it? There we go. I'll do Is that better? Right. So cool. So the problem that I'm having right now, with the ukulele and with the doing the two things at once is I need something to be able to plug in both of those, and I need more cables because you know right now I'm using two cables. I don't even know if I have a third working instrument cable to plug something else into it. Okay, so Seth said you found somebody playing Donna Lee online on a uke bass. You can post in the comments if that's cool. Yeah, if you want to, that's totally cool. I post stuff like that on Instagram too. So there's an Instagram video of me playing, I want to say Deantown and probably Teentown too. But yeah, but I also did like on electric bass. I used to do solo bass shows, and so I used to like loop things like that. Like when I was doing that. I can't even do it now. I wonder if that would work. Let's see. Nope, can't do it anymore apparently. Oh, that's okay. I forgot to turn the volume back up on here too. When I do those fade outs, sometimes I forget. But yeah, I was surprised that I got the melody to Donna Lee so easily. I think the flat wound strings just make it nice. You know, I can see why the jazz guitar players like doing flat wounds on their guitars too, because just. I mean, if I did that on the what am I trying to say? Rubber strings, it would be a lot harder. I'll just put it that way. But yeah, I just need some sort of either pedal or maybe even just one extra cable, but probably two extra cables, because this loop station is actually designed to be stereo. So it actually does have another input and another output. So if I had more cables, I could theoretically plug another input in and another output into a different amp and have like stereo uke and bass on one side, uke on the other. That'd be kind of cool. But or plug them both into the PA and have them there. All right. Seth says, since it's been over an hour, I'm sure you won't be on much longer. Yeah, I usually stay on for about maybe an hour and a half or something. So did y'all enjoyed the punk? That was good. All right, Seth, thanks for hanging out. I wonder if I could make one with harmonics, where I just use more harmonics than that. All right, take care, Otto. I think that's good outro music. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out here tonight. I really do appreciate you guys helping me get to 1 million views. I know it'll keep going. We'll probably get to 2 million pretty soon. Well, maybe in a year or so. And it's just been awesome getting to play this stuff for you guys, getting to answer your questions. Like I said, if you have any questions, always feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them anytime. So thanks again for hanging out, and I'll see you guys next time. Let's see. The weird, awkward fade out. Bye, guys.